Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Zero to Freedom Show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on wherever you are in the world. Just put me a hashtag live in the comment so I can come and say hi, or a hashtag replay so I can come and say hi after. Today, in this episode of the Zero to Freedom Show, we have a very, very special guest, which is Dan Harry. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author of the Digital Millionaire Secrets, professional speaker, founder of multiple million-dollar companies, including GetClients.com, the CRO and co-founder of the CloseDeals.com, and one of the most influential entrepreneurs in the world. In fact, Dan has been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneurs Magazine, Business Insiders, and more. Dan started his first company to pay his way through college, and his first efforts, while only mildly successful, inspired him to drop out of college and pursue entrepreneurs full time. So, as you know me, I always like to entrepreneur very special people to understand their secrets to achieve their definition of freedom. So I'm very happy to introduce Dan Harry. Welcome.
Hey man,
again.
how you doing? How's it going, brother?
Really good. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing better now that I'm on the show.
Awesome. Love it. It's such a smooth transition to bring people on. I love it. So, Dan, I have some very special question for you. And first, I have to tell you that one of my favorite ads ever for any marketer, any speaker, is your ads where you have an image of the yacht that has been delivered to you. And you said basically, I used to deliver pizza, and now this yacht is being delivered to me, which is inspiring for everyone who was delivering pizza, just like me. It's so inspiring. So I know this is going to be
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's going to be a tricky question, but in your opinion, what are the secrets that help you to go from pizza delivery to making 30 million in your business?
That's a really great question. I could go into a bunch of tactics and stuff like that, but tactics change. The real true reason I believe is the acceptance of how things are, even if they don't make you feel good. Many times in life, we don't want to admit the thing that is hard to hear. We don't want, when we're being lazy, we don't want to admit that we're lazy because it sounds bad. When someone is better than us at something, we don't want to admit that they're better because it doesn't make us feel good. We want to say they got there because they had to screw somebody over, or because of this, or because they had an advantage. And it's very difficult to admit, like, we're just not doing the work. And so when a human being is given any reason at all to justify their failures, they will do so, and they will do so and defend it to the death. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter. If you're failing, you will always come up with an excuse. Well, I don't have access to this. Well, I'm from here. Well, my parents were poor. Well, I'm from this culture or that culture. Well, whatever, right? And, I'll be honest with you. If this was a couple hundred years ago, you would be right. Because there was a day when only the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds had an opportunity to sit at the table. But with the advent of the internet and digital products, anyone, if you have access to the internet, anyone can sit at that table. And admitting that the path has been cleared for you and that it really ultimately is up to you is hard. It's hard for something to do because it's so much easier to make the excuse. And when you cannot make the excuse and you can say, it's me, that's the beginning of the journey. And that's what allows you to take off and get some air under your wings.
Love it. Love it. So no excuse. Literally everyone can do it with the right information. I love this. Exactly. Even because it pushes people to take full responsibility as well. It's massive.
Yeah. See, I believe in the past, poverty was a circumstance. It is no longer a circumstance. It is now a choice. If you're poor now, you are choosing to be poor. That was not true years ago. It is true now.
Wow, that's deep. I like it. Thank you for replying to that. Very deep. I love it. And
Now that's not something people want to hear, you know?
yeah,
And every time I say that, I always get, I get called all kinds of things, and I get told, here's the ironic part. I'll have somebody comment using their phone, which is likely costs a lot of money. They'll use their smartphone to comment and tell me that I am privileged, to tell me that I just don't understand. They'll literally take time out of the day using an internet connection, using this phone to tell me that I'm wrong and that they're at a disadvantage, using the same exact platform and the same exact channel that they could use to overcome any disadvantage you would have and actually make something of yourself. So the irony there is astounding. And that's how I see it.
Wow. That's deep. I just want to tell you, Dan, that your connection might not be super strong. You are a little bit blurry. I mean, I can understand you well, but the connection is a bit blurry. So maybe do you have another connection?
My internet has been a little rough since they started working on my building. I'm going to have to call them to fix it. But
okay. No, I mean, I can
I
hear
don't
you
think there's
clearly.
anything I
It's
can
a
do
little
about
bit
it at
blurry,
the
but
moment.
it's fine. Oh, no, it's fine. No problem. So the next question is, most of my audience, they follow me because they want to achieve their definition of freedom. Generally, is financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom. But I'm curious, for you at your level, what is freedom? What do you define as freedom?
Well, freedom is not what I define as freedom. Freedom, what I've always known, has been to be able to do whatever you want with whoever you want, however you want, whenever you want. That is ultimately what freedom is. And so I think maybe the better question is, how do we get there? How do we get there? And there's a common misconception, a huge misconception around that. Yes. And here's what it is. I constantly hear people say, well, I don't want to build a big team. I don't want to scale. I just want it to be a side hustle. I enjoy things to consume me. But the thing is, staying small is how you let your business consume you. When you have a team and when you have a system that does things for you, that's when you achieve freedom. I have a sales team that closes my deals for me, right? I don't care how little I do. If I only wanted to make 20 grand a month, I would still be working harder to make that 20 grand myself than making 100 or 200 or 300 or 400 or 500 with a team. And that is the biggest misconception, is staying small is how you become a slave to your business. Getting bigger and building a team is how you achieve freedom. Why do you think that look, Elon Musk, he's got companies, he's got Twitter, he's got PayPal, he's got Tesla, he's got SpaceX. I understand that he works a lot, but he works a lot to put people on Mars. He works a lot in the company that he's working on at the time. Do you think that he's splitting his time equally between Twitter and Tesla and SpaceX? No, that stuff runs itself because he built teams, and then he focuses on what he's focusing on. And so the biggest misconception is, in order to have freedom, I must stay small, when the truth is I must get bigger.
I love that. That's counterintuitive, but it's so right. It's so right, because then you can have people to work for you and do the work for you.
How you gonna have freedom if you're doing everything yourself? You have freedom by having a team to do it for you, and the only way to do that is sales, is to sell more. So that's what I realized, and I tried to stay small for a long time, and it just doesn't work.
I totally agree with that. And something that my audience will definitely ask, because a lot of people, they kind of don't want to do sales and they like to hire a closer sometimes too soon. So in your opinion, when is a good time to hire a closer?
Okay, so that's a fantastic question. I mean, this is what we do at closedeals.com. We train entrepreneurs on how to sell more, and we also recruit, train, and manage their sales teams. Here's the thing. An entrepreneur who says, I don't want to do sales is like a fireman who doesn't like fire or water or heavy yellow suits. Like, you probably shouldn't be a fireman. You know, like, what do you mean you don't like sales? Like, it's like being a basketball player who doesn't like basketball. Like, this is what you do, man. You know, now I understand that you don't want to do sales forever and you don't want to be on the phone all day. But if you don't know how to sell your product, how are you going to recruit others to, or even have, encourage people to sell your product for you? And so the biggest issue we see, and we actually created a product specifically for this because we saw it, is your average coach or agency or whatever, they will want a closer. And in their mind, the idea is, well, I suck at sales. I'm struggling to make money. My offer is not converting the best. I'm at like 10 grand a month and it'll solve my problems if I get a closer. But here's the thing. Good salespeople will never work for you because good salespeople only work for established companies who don't have those problems. You will never be able to recruit a good salesperson who would be willing to work for you. So this is why it's so hard to find good salespeople, because if you're at 10, 15 grand a month, even 20, and you have all these problems, any good salesperson that would say yes to you is not a good salesperson. There's somebody who isn't good, and that's why they're saying yes. And then they suck, and round we go. Okay? That's just life. That's just the way it is. Good salespeople work for good companies. And you're not yet a good company if you have those problems. You can get there, but you're not there yet. Okay. And so what we do is we started out at Closed Deals where we had a program called Sales Team Management, where we recruit salespeople to close for your company. Or if you already have them, we take over management of them. The problem is the majority of the people that applied for this program were in no way in a position to have a closer. And nor could we recruit a good salesperson and say, hey, we're going to have you sell for this coach who, made 10 grand last month. They would tell us we were out of our minds. And so what we did was we developed a program called the Daily Sales Huddle, which is literally the same thing of what we do for sales reps, but we do it for the actual entrepreneur. And what we do is very different than what you would find in a course or a coaching program. Because here's the difference, right? A course teaches you something and then sets you on your way. A coach teaches you something, helps you for a limited amount of time, and then sends you on your way. Enterprise level sales teams, they don't do that. They teach you something and then they hold you accountable to it every day. They systemize it. You're filling out reports, you're hitting KPIs, and you're being held accountable. And that is why companies like Salesforce or Grant Cardone, why do you think Grant Cardone does what we all do, yet he made $1 billion and nobody else has? It's because he takes an enterprise level approach to it. Every morning, they have a sales meeting where they are trained, they are held accountable, they are celebrated, they are systemized, and that's why they're able to sell. It is a system. Sam Wall grew Walmart to the biggest retail company in the world, not because he acquired talent, but because he had systems that would allow you to work there whether you had talent or not. And so when you combine talent and systems, you get an amazing circumstance happening. And so what we do in the Daily Sales Huddle is if you're only at 5 or 10 or 15 grand a month or 20 grand a month and you don't have it all figured out yet, we bring you on, we assign you a slot, you come on with another small group of entrepreneurs, and you get coached daily, not weekly, not monthly, every single day. Boxers do not become champions by training once a week. They don't. They train every day. You're never going to see a world champion be a world champion because they trained once a week or once a month. It's every day. And so what happens is we bring the entrepreneur on. We help them with sales. We help them with prospecting, follow-up, overcoming objections, system. We set up their CRM. We get everything where it needs to be. Most of our clients that join that, they double sales the very first month. And I'll just be honest with you. Most coaches, most agency owners, they have no idea how to sell. And they certainly don't know how to systemize that process. We do. We let you do what you're best at, and we do what we're best at so that you can do what you're best at. And so what happens is they end up doubling sales in the first month. They scale to a point where they would have their stuff together. They would be able to attract a good salesperson. We get them there, and then we just swap them out. Now they're off the calls. They go run their business, and now the salesperson's on the calls. And then when they scale a little further, we get them a second salesperson, and then a third salesperson, and we help them scale, and we grow with them. And when we started doing that approach, man, our clients are getting not only better results than we've ever seen people get in this industry, but they're getting better results than I even got for people back in the day when I sold my stuff. Because look, if you have help with your business every day, you're going to do better than if you have it once a week or once a month, or you just have a course. And so that's what we do. We don't sell courses. We don't sell coaching. We literally sell enterprise level sales, support, and solutions for the small entrepreneur. And that is why, and our development of that product is why I know that you can't find a good salesperson if you're not at a certain level, because a good salesperson won't work for you. They just won't.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. You clarified that for a lot of people, for sure, because a lot of people, they try to not do the work, but you just answer again, they have to do the work. Hard truth. And in order to achieve,
how many times have I heard? Well, yeah, how many times I've heard, I just can't find good closers. I can't find good salespeople. All right, well, how much did you make last month? 10 grand. What good salesperson is going to work for a company that makes 10 grand a month? They're just not. So all you're going to get is crappy salespeople. And then you're going to think that all salespeople are crappy. Like you have to pay your dues. You have to get to a certain level to attract star talent. It's just the way it is. And look, I know that doesn't sound nice, but there's a lot of things that don't sound nice in life. And that's just the way it is. But again, that's a problem. And every product is a solution to a problem. That's why we created that's why I created closedeals.com, was to solve that problem. Because it's not fair. Look, I was at 10 million before I attracted good salespeople. Now you don't have to get to 10 million, but I paid my dues, and that's why I was able to do that. And I just think a lot of people today, they don't want to pay their dues. They just don't want to. And you just got to accept, man, if you want to make big money, you got to do big things. You can't do small things and make big money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And big things take big effort.
Yes. And speaking of this, because you mentioned big effort, paying the dues, mindset. So what do you think are the habits, the most important habits that someone that is making less than 10K per month needs to implement to scale to the 100K per month?
Well, there's two things that every great salesperson and every great entrepreneur does. They practice in some way, they practice daily. They train or drill daily, just like a championship boxer. They practice their craft daily. And number two, they surround themselves with people better than them. Because sales and entrepreneurship is a lonely place. You get no after no after no after no, and it can be isolating. And if you don't have anything to help support that, it's sort of like if you have like a flower growing in the ground, right? The flower has roots and it has soil. So the flower is holding on to the soil, and it's able to hold on to that root system to support life. And if you cut that flower and you put it in a pot and you set it on your table, how long does that flower last? without the roots? Days.
Not long.
Whereas, whereas in the ground with roots, it lasts for months, sometimes years. And so most coaches and agents and entrepreneurs, they cut themselves and put themselves in a pot from the get-go, and they have no roots. They have no system to hold on to, and they're just out in the wind. And that's why they die and they wither mostly. And, you know, that's why I realized a long time ago that the best way to help support entrepreneurs is to provide a root system for them to hold on to. And that's what we do. And you know, that really is the key, is whether it's a mastermind, whether it's like what we do is providing the enterprise level sales support, whatever that looks like. It's very important to have that group of people that are better than you, that can lift you up, as well as help you train and hone your craft and stay accountable daily. Those are the two biggest things. And if you can't introduce that into your business, it's gonna be very difficult to grow.
Awesome. Even because you're the average of the people that you surround yourself with. So absolutely.
Well, you know, not only that, but you mentioned, like, what's the big difference between 10K and 100K a month, right? So here's the deal. Here's the big difference. 10 grand a month, you can do everything yourself, and you can just sort of like walk up to a tree and pick up the fruit that has already fallen from the tree that's just laying there. But when you want to scale to 100 grand a month, that doesn't work. You now need equipment. You now need to grab a ladder. You need to go up and you need to grab fruit off the tree. You need a basket to put it in. And the more fruit you grab, the more processes you need to, like with coffee, right? Like I visited a coffee farm recently. The bigger the farm, the more operations and the more procedures it is to harvest that coffee. And so the thing is that you can't do it all. And so when you go from 10 to 100, your talent is what gets you to 10, but systems get you to 100, and then 2, and then 3. And most entrepreneurs, they don't have systems. They don't have procedures. They don't have something that makes what they can do when they pick up stuff off the ground repeatable. And that's where they get stuck. They can't make it repeatable. And also it comes with accepting a certain amount of things. You have to accept that you're going to have to give up some control. You have to accept that you're going to have to work with others and outsource some things that you're not good at. You're going to have to accept that no one will ever be able to articulate your brand or sell as good as you, because it's you. And you're going to have to accept that at higher grosses, that means less margins. If you make 10 grand a month and you're at 90% margin, right? You're making 9,000 a month. But if I say, well, at 100 grand a month, let's just cut that down to 50. I'm not saying you'd only make 50% margin, but let's just say you did. What's 50% of 100?
That's 50K.
What's that number? 50K. Is 50K more than 9K?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you're making, do you want to make, if I say to you, do you want to make 90% margins or do you want to make 50% margins? You'd likely say, I want to make 90. But if I said to you, do you want to make 50 grand or do you want to make 90 grand? Which would you say? You'd say 50. So the key, one of the keys to scale is accepting that the margin will go down, but the actual money will go up. And one thing that entrepreneurs have a hard time accepting is that as you scale, the margins go down, and they sit there and they wonder, they go, oh, well, I used to make 90% margins. Well, yeah, because you only made 10 grand a month. You were picking up fruit off the ground. You didn't have to pay for a ladder. You didn't have to pay for a basket. You didn't have to do those things. And the first step to doing those things is accepting that you need to do them, and that that's just the way it is. So does that help?
Absolutely. That was super, super helpful. Golden nuggets right there. They actually helped me as well. So thank you very much. But now next question is, what's the difference then in going from 7 figures to 8 figures? Because now we're talking from 10K to 100K a month.
Yeah.
And what about the 100K a month to $1 million a month? Does it differ much, or the habits are just the same on a bigger scale?
Well, I think that if you ask somebody who's built like 10 8-figure companies, you would probably get a better answer. I've only built a few $1 million companies and one 8-figure company. So I'll do my best to answer it. I can tell you what's worked for me. What's worked for me is, and what I've seen work, is that when you go from 10 to 100, it's about systems. When you go from 100 to 1 million, it's about, and when you say 1 million, do you mean per month?
Yeah, per month.
Yeah. Okay. So from 10 grand to 100 grand a month, or from 0 to 10 grand a month, it's about talent. And it's about you. From 10 grand to 100 grand, it is about systems. From 100 grand to 1 million, it is about systems and talent. And from 1 million and up, it's about recruitment, talent, and systems. And those kind of overlap as well. And that's how you scale. But ultimately, I believe what a lot of people don't talk about is that it also comes down to the product, right? Certain products can only scale to a certain level. So for instance, there's an argument to be made that the wider your product is, the more people your product applies to, the easier it is to scale. However, I have a different perspective. What I believe is that the harder of a problem you solve, the easier it is to scale. Because if you solve a problem that's easy to solve, everybody else is going to solve it too, which means that you're going to have a lot more competition, which means there's going to be saturation, which means that it's going to be harder to dominate the market. However, if you solve a problem that most people can't solve or are unwilling to solve, then you own the market. And like, for instance, let's say you're a coach or an agency owner, you sell a high ticket product and you struggle to close more deals. You got some options. You can read a book. You can buy a course, right? You can do all these things, but people do that every day, right? And it's easy to create a course. It's easy to create a coaching program where you do some calls. But what's not easy is to develop a team of people that will meet with your clients every single solitary day, that will build out their entire CRM and system. Like, this is hard, but it also gets the most results. And so there's the easy road and there's the hard road. See, I like to take the hard road because everyone's on the easy road. Everyone takes the easy road. So it becomes congested. It becomes crowded. Maybe it's easy, but it's crowded. The hard road may be harder, but once you figure it out, there's no traffic. You can just fly down the road. And so for me, I help people increase their sales, but I don't do it with a course. I don't do it with a coaching program. I don't do it with any of that. I do it by creating an enterprise level sales support system that you can access every single solitary day, building a team out of amazing sales managers and coaches that can do that, and building out entire systems, processes, and CRMs that we not only give to our clients, but we manage for them. That's really hard. 99.9% of sales coaches will never even attempt something at that scale. They'll never even attempt to undertake something, nor do they know how. And so that's why I do it, because I know that every single one of my competitors is never, ever going to be on that road. They're going to be like, I'm not doing that. That's for Dan. I'm going to stay on the easy road. And so that's my perspective, is do the hard thing because nobody else is willing to do it. Do the hard thing because no one else.
That's powerful. That's really, really powerful and really, really inspiring. And I love that the fact that you only says hard truth. There are only hard truth here. So I really, really like that. Very, very inspiring.
Yeah. And I got the idea one day because I was sitting around and I thought to myself, how can I get my clients better results? Like, what's the real honest answer behind that? And I was talking to one of my employees or something, and you know, they were like, well, what, I mean, you'd have to like babysit him basically. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they were like, well, you know, you literally have to help him every day. And I was like, yeah. I was like, if I help them every day, they'd have to get results. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. Yeah. And like, literally every single person that has come into that program has doubled sales their first month. Where do you find a program where people double sales every single time in the first month? Where? Okay. Like, and look, it's not that we have some magical script or something. I mean, we have great scripts, but it's, we can work with you every day. Of course you're going to get results.
To be honest, I want to sign up to that.
And you just got to do the hard thing.
Yeah, to be honest, I want to sign up to that program. In fact, I'm sure that other people in the audience are interested. So if someone want to know more about this, then what is the best place to find more information?
Yeah, you just go to closedeals.com. Go to closedeals.com and check out our daily sales huddle. And we've got testimonials on there. We've got a case study with one of our clients that doubled sales. We've also got a case study with a client that we manage their sales team for them. And look, we'll work with you. You come in not ready for a sales rep, we'll get you there. And then we'll get you a sales rep and move on up. I mean, that's what we do. Look, the number one expense in your business is lost sales. And we remove that expense. Point blank.
Love it. I got one last question for you because it's San Valentine. I hope you're going to allow me this. But one of the favorite video I've seen from you is the interview with Alex Hormozi, where at the end, you were talking about the fact how Leila and his relationship with Leila has contributed to his success. Mm-hmm. So like, in your opinion, how much love does actually contribute to the success of an entrepreneur?
How much does love?
Yeah, love or a romantic relationship does contribute in the success.
Well, I think a better thing is, you know, because I remember that conversation with him, and, you know, basically what it was if you have the wrong partner, it will cost you, right? If you have the right partner, you will grow faster than you could ever imagine.
Exactly.
And, you know, he gave some advice on how to find that person. And man, I'm an action taker. So I took the advice. It's funny because I took the advice, went out and I did exactly what it said. And I met a girl who is also an entrepreneur who literally knows how to do and is good at all the things that I suck at. And I'm good at the things that she's not so good at. And I met her and we've been together ever since. And I made a post about it. And Alex texts me and he screenshots I might actually have it. He screenshots the post that I made. And he's a very short person in terms of words. He sends me the text and he goes, "Damn, bold." That's
it.
He always sends me these like 2-word texts, you know, and I was like, I was like, I took your advice, man. And he's like, I guess you did. Gee, you know, so look, you tell me something that makes sense, man, I go do it. I don't fiddle around. I go do it. So, yeah. And I mean, I hope it works out, you know, but it's done well so far.
I love it. Yeah. I needed to ask about romantic stuff because it's San Valentine, but yeah, I agree with you. You know, still about the person that you surround yourself with is going to massively impact your life. So as you said, the wrong person will take you down. The right person will help you to go up.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But I also think that it's important to continue to learn the skills you need to learn to work within that relationship. You know, read books on, like I just started reading a book on, it's called The Playbook to Conflict Resolution. And there's some really great stuff in there. And I learned like just a really good framework to use when your partner feels like you did something bad to them and they feel hurt. And it's an amazing framework. And I started using it and it worked really well. And it's just like, imagine if you just took some time every day to read a few pages out of a great book, how much better your life could be if you did that, you know? Because that's what was the catalyst for me becoming a millionaire. I delivered pizza for 7 years. I didn't read any books. And then I started reading books and I quickly became a millionaire. And that was like, people say, well, how did you get started? I started reading business books. Seriously, that's what I did. But I read them and then I executed. I didn't just read them and sit around and talk about them on Facebook. I did the stuff. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. Well, I don't want to take advantage of your time. You said it was 30 minutes, we're already over. So I'm really, really, really grateful then. Lot of golden nuggets here. Love what you said about relationship as well. I'm going to go and read that book, by the way. And
Yeah, you
also
should.
going to check out closedeals.com because it sounds super, super interesting.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Killer. Thank you. I love coming on. We should do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again. I would love to do it again for sure. So thank you again, Dan,
Awesome,
for coming.
man.
Thank you, everyone, for following the show. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Awesome.